Hi folks, welcome to the channel. Today we're here to talk about the GStove XL Heat View. We've had this stove for a year now, used it winter camping several times, and so I think I'm ready to give an honest review. The XL Heat View comes with a folding grate to help give your fire more air. Comes with the short legs, an ash scraper, which is a very good fire poker as well. Comes with 5 stovepipes and the stove. The door easily slides off, which is great for cleaning and emptying the ash out of your stove without risk of damaging the glass in the door. The stove is 50 centimeters or 19.68 inches in length and 22 centimeters or 8.66 inches in width. The weight of the stove comes in at 24 pounds. The stove is made of stainless steel. Let's set it up. We're not going to use the short legs today that it comes with. When we purchased the stove, we did go for the optional leg extensions, which brings the stove up higher off the ground, makes it a little bit easier to use in the tent. Of course, it all depends on what type of tent you have and what your situation is. So we've already installed the grate, and we're going to put the legs on. These side wings are very useful for picking the stove up, setting off cooking pots, even drying socks or mitts on if you're careful when the stove is lit, because of course the stove does get very hot. Here's a few of the other accessories that you can get for the GStove. This is a 3-liter water tank that fits around the stovepipe. Extraordinarily handy for boiling water, for dishes, cooking with, cleaning with. Very, very handy. Has its own spigot here and holds 3 liters of water. Excellent little addition to the stove. Here we have a piece that we didn't need to use. We changed directions with the tent we were getting, but basically this is a piece that you'd put around your stovepipe so that it keeps your tent from burning. So if you had to put your stovepipe up through a cloth or canvas tent where this was going to be touching the top of the tent, like say a teepee style, you'd put your stovepipe up through this, so this would be a cold wall for your stovepipe. We also got the extra cooking space, which is extraordinarily handy as well. This becomes a section on your stovepipe and becomes an extra cooking space for you. So basically, put that on with your stovepipe and the heat comes up through it, and it's somewhere extra for you to put a pot or a frying pan, And the radiating heat from it also, I think, helps heat the tent up, or helps with the distribution of the heat at least. And then this year, the new addition to our kit is the oven. So the idea with this is the heat comes up through the pipe and it radiates around the oven section, which is an internal section, our internal stove box, and then up out through the top. So you want to put this on about the second section or so, replace the stovepipe with the oven. And I have tested this out already and got it up to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit without too much trouble, and was able to maintain that temperature for quite some time without loading too much extra wood. For our stove setup, we also went with the damper section to help control the airflow to the fire. So there's a piece of metal in there that will help cut off airflow or open it right up so that you can control the draft on your fire and how quickly it burns, basically, because the fire needs air to burn, and so you can control that fire flow with this damper. We also went with a spark arrestor, which some people don't think is necessary, but again, depends on your situation. Our tent is a nylon tent, so of course we have to be extremely cautious about sparks, so we decided to go with the spark arrestor. And the added benefit of that is if you're camping in high winds, it does come up with these tie-off points so that you can securely peg out your stovepipe if it's a very windy situation. For today, we're not going to use all the pipe sections, but we will put on the damper and the spark arrestor. Okay, let's get the pipes assembled. When you're talking about having a successful fire, it's of course your fuel and your airflow. So the GStove tries to improve airflow by, of course, providing this grate to lift your fire up off the bottom of the stove and improve the air circulation around it so the fire can feed off that airflow. Also in the door, we can adjust airflow by opening this bottom section here. Multiple ways that you can cut off airflow, and it does make a big difference just changing this just a little bit. And the door does close with the tab here, you see. And the GStove's design to help improve the combustion of the fire is this raised section at the back here that you see. So this helps draw the fire up and up through the chimney and helps with combustion. And we do find that it works very well. Fire is very easy to get going and easy to maintain. Well, it isn't much of a stove demonstration until we light the fire. So let's get this lit. As you can see, we got the fire going without too much trouble, pretty quickly. Just a bit of birch bark and a little bit of kindling. And of course, when you first get your fire going, you want to make sure your damper is completely open to allow the fire as much airflow as possible. And you see our smoke arrestor there at the top. And just to mention, the other accessory, of course, with this stove that we chose to purchase is this fireproof mat. So we put this down on the tent floor, or if you were using the ground, I guess it wouldn't be as much of a concern. But this becomes a base for our stove. And again, depends on your situation. The floor of our tent is actually an insulated fabric floor, so of course we want to be careful. And just a few tips when using a wood stove for hot tent camping. We just got an inexpensive stainless steel bowl here. We use it to clean the ashes out of the fireplace every day. And we also place it under the door in case you open the door and a live spark falls out. We also have a pair of gloves to feed wood into the fire, just to keep your hands safe. And of course, you always want to be very careful around wood stove, because they are very hot. But otherwise, we found that the GStove XL with the Heat View makes a wonderful addition to our hot tenting setup. Again, it all depends on the type of tent that you have and your situation as far as what temperatures you're going to be comfortable going out in. We've had this out in temperatures down to minus 20 degrees Celsius, and we found that we've been able to feed it about every 2 hours. It will maintain a very good base of coals, and you don't have to do much. You just feed more wood into it. You could probably let it go longer than 2 hours, but you may have to, play with the fire a bit to get it going. But otherwise, a very excellent stove. One thing to mention about the glass door, a frequent problem with the haze getting on it from the fire. If you keep the fire close to the front door, and you want to evenly distribute it throughout the length of the stove anyhow, but the heat will keep the smoke from building up on the glass. So that's one way to keep that buildup from happening on your glass door. If you do happen to get a buildup on the door, you can just use a commercial oven cleaner or stovetop cleaner to clean that off with, and that's a safe, easy way to clean off your glass door. We've purchased this stove from a distributor in Nova Scotia, Canada. I believe he also distributes to the United States. Very good to deal with. We've been very pleased with our GStove. We look forward to another winter of hot tent camping with it. The stove is also available in a regular size, which is about 5 inches shorter. We decided to go with the XL version because it just makes it easier for wood length, and burn time is a little bit longer. The GStove is manufactured in Norway. Well, thanks folks for joining me on the review of the GStove XL with Heat View. We've really enjoyed using it over the past winter, and we look forward to another season of hot tent camping. Thanks!